You're watching Oilers Nation Everyday with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
Oh, sorry, I'm doing my best impression of Evan Bouchard's agent after seeing the Jacob Chychrun extension. Let's get into it with the lead. Why does our intern Reese have this much cash on him is another question I have. But maybe we'll do some investigative journalism on that a little bit later as I set those wads of cash that a 22-year-old unpaid intern has for some reason. Welcome into the show. We are live from the Sports Closet studio. Check them out online at sportscloset.ca. The show, as always, a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Welcome into the show, and I like this one. Ryan S. ON Everyday with Tyler and Liam's chair. Aw, doesn't that kind of just make you sad?
Your thoughts?
Your thoughts? Yeah.
This one makes me sad.
Yeah, this one, I look really, really lonely here.
Reese,
but
come
that's
get the
okay.
chair.
Yeah, Reese, come sit there. Anyways, we do have two guests joining us today on the show. Devan Dubnyk going to swing by at his usual time and usual slot, Tuesday, 12:20 with Dubnyk, and then at 12:40, Sean DePaz. DePaz? DePaz.
I think DePaz. I've been saying DePaz. We'll find out.
Yeah, hey, let's get it straight from the source. He's going to swing by and join the show in about 40 minutes. I love Sean for many reasons. First off, he's a great producer of the show What Chaos.
You're about to say Bills.
He's coming to Edmonton, and he's a Buffalo Bills fan, a Buffalo native. So we'll have Sean on the show in a little bit, talk about their big trip out to Edmonton, which gets going tomorrow. And I don't know what the peak of it will be. Maybe it's, they'll be seeing the Battle of Alberta in person on Saturday, or maybe it'll be the Thursday night they get to spend at Greta. You can join us that night as well. I've actually heard tickets are flying right now. So nationgear.ca if you want to get in. It's presented by Fountain Tire. Come hang out with, of course, the Nation crew, but also the What Chaos guys, DJ Bean, Pete Blackburn, and Sean DePaz. Say what's up to Sean. He's a really cool guy.
Bubble hockey. He had a tweet saying that he's challenging everyone to bubble hockey.
Yeah, he wants to beat every Edmonton citizen in bubble hockey before he leaves. So we'll have a lot of fun with that. Sean will swing by in a little bit. Again, a weird little stretch of 3 off days for the Edmonton Oilers. They obviously didn't play Sunday, didn't play yesterday. They don't even play tonight. They're back in action tomorrow against the Dallas Stars, a Dallas team that was in action last night, and they've won 2 in a row, 6-2-2 in their last 10. The interesting thing, and this is a tomorrow conversation, so I really don't want to get all that into it. Mikko Rantanen has not fit in well in Dallas at all. He only has 2 points in his last 5 games, and the even strength, he hasn't scored an even strength goal yet he has 1 even strength goal since joining the Dallas Stars. He got it against Vancouver, but he scored once on the power play and obviously the game against Edmonton. No, the other one was an empty netter, so he still hasn't scored an even strength 5-on-5 goal as a member of the Dallas Stars. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, probably more tomorrow. But there's a couple of things I want to get to today. Before we get to Devan Dubnyk, let's jump right into the one big take for Service Credit Union, because I do think that's where a lot of people want to see us take the show today. It's brought to you by Service Credit Union and the Service Big Share Contest. It is back and better than ever. It's your chance to win $1 million just by saving money. Anyone can enter by becoming a member and saving with Service. Every $500 you saved gets you 5 entries into the Service Big Share Contest. And we're getting close to the end of this bad boy. It ends on April 30th, 2025. Skill test required. For rules, visit service.ca/win. We got some breaking news in the NHL earlier this morning. The Washington Capitals agreeing to an 8-year extension with Jacob Chychrun. It's coming with a $9 million AAV. So that puts Chychrun into a tie for the 10th highest AAV amongst all defensemen in the NHL. He's dead even with the likes of Cale Makar and who else was in there? I totally lost my spot. Anyways, Jacob Chychrun got paid is the point here, and of course, Oilers fans, the Oilers, they need to get an Evan Bouchard deal done this summer, or at least make a decision on Evan Bouchard. So every contract that comes in for a defenseman right now, it creates a bit of a storyline. It could have a bit of a ripple effect. You're looking at Jacob Chychrun's numbers right here. 18 goals on the season in just 65 games. His career high coming into this season was 18 goals. And Hey, last year, Evan Bouchard scored 18 goals. Bouchard finished last season with 82 points. This season, Bouchard is sitting at 55 points, 22 of them on the power play. So my Yaremchuk math tells me that 33 of his points have come away from the power play. Okay, 33 points off of the power play for Evan Bouchard. For Jakob Chychrun, he's got 43 points this year, a lower number than Bouchard. 14 of them have come on the power play, which means, carry the one, 29 of his points have come away from the power play. So Bouchard has been a much more productive defenseman this year, and even traditionally. It's also worth noting Bouchard's only played 335 games in his NHL career. Jakob Chychrun's played 532. Chychrun has question marks about his ability to stay completely healthy. I know last year he did really good with the Ottawa Senators playing in all 82 games, but this year he's already missed some time, and going back through his career, that was always the knock on him, is that he couldn't stay healthy. Evan Bouchard has found a way to stay healthy. 81 games, 82 games, 81 games, and this year he's appeared in all 70 of the Oilers games. So it's an interesting comparison just on the surface level for a number of reasons. Again, young defenseman whose best hockey is still ahead of him. The age gap isn't all that crazy. Jakob Chychrun is going to turn 27 in 6 days. Evan Bouchard is going to turn 26 in October. So there's about a year and a half separating the two of them. And as it sits right now, about 200 career NHL games. If you were to kind of do like a little pros and cons list comparing the two guys, there's no doubt Evan Bouchard has the higher offensive ceiling. He's already proven to be a more productive offensive defenseman. Jakob Chychrun, again, has the downside of some health issues. I think if he were to get a regular role on that Capitals top unit, you would start to see some more offensive numbers, but I don't view Jakob Chychrun as a guy who's ever going to be an 85 to 90 point defenseman in the way that I think Evan Bouchard absolutely has it in him to be an 85 to 90 point defenseman one day, which of course puts you in the upper echelon of offensive defensemen, not just in the NHL right now, but in this sort of generation of NHLers. So Bouchard has this super unique skill set. Bouchard's game comes with, at least this season, some warts, a tendency to make high danger mistakes. I think a lot of that is getting over-exaggerated a little bit, and it's a lot of people who don't understand that, hey, if you have the puck a lot, you are going to make more mistakes than a guy who doesn't quite have the puck as much. But Chychrun also picks up a lot in the physicality department. He's, I'll say a more well-rounded defenseman. He got $9 million. Another interesting thing to consider in all of this is how contracts work in the NHL and how these negotiations often play out. Jakob Chychrun, by product of having 532 games in the NHL and accumulated enough years in the league, plus year and a half older, he was scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent, right? This is the Washington Capitals going and buying 8 UFA years of Jakob Chychrun. That carries a lot more value than having to buy, if you're the Oilers and you're looking at an 8-year deal for Evan Bouchard, 6 UFA years and 2 RFA years, which come with arbitration. And again, that's I'll talk about that maybe in just a little bit. But if you remember back to the summer of 2021, boom, Cale Makar gets $9 million. Boom, Zach Werenski gets 9.583. Boom. Miro Heiskanen picks up a $9 million AAV, an $8.5 million AAV. And then also that summer, there was one more guy, Dougie Hamilton, in unrestricted free agency, also got a $9 million AAV. So you're sitting there, you're going, okay, Heiskanen at 8.4, Hamilton at 9, Makar at 9, and then Werenski all the way up at 9.45, whatever. Why is there such a gap? Like, Dougie Hamilton's not the... I would take Heiskanen over Hamilton. Why did he get just as much as Cale Makar? And again, eventually, why did Darnell Nurse get 9.25? And everyone likes to point and go, Cale Makar, Cale Makar, Cale Makar. Why does Darnell Nurse make $250K more than Makar? Okay, Cale Makar has 2 years left in his current deal. In 2 years, Cale Makar is making $16 million a season. If you think they're going to try squeeze Cale Makar the way they did Mikko Rantanen, you are dead wrong. That dude probably has a blank check and will without a doubt become the highest paid defenseman in the NHL, and I don't think anyone's ever going to touch him. And he's going to be one of, if not the highest paid player in the entire NHL. I guess that is a little bit dependent on how Connor McDavid plays out. But Makar will be right under Connor McDavid's AAV. And the reason why Colorado got Cale Makar for $9 million is because when he was 22 years old, they went to him and said, here's a 6-year contract. They bought nothing but RFA years in that deal. Maybe they got one UFA season in that, but maybe one. Dougie Hamilton, Darnell Nurse, those guys had unrestricted free agency. Hamilton actually went to market and got to, create a bit of a bidding war for his services, but signing guys who have RFA years, Heiskanen, Makar, Werenski had some UFA years in there as well, some RFA years in his contract too. I think three of them when he signed the deal. It's cheaper. You have team control. The player loses some of their bargaining and negotiating power. Signing and buying, if you want to call it that, UFA years from a player is astronomically more expensive because they have the threat of going to the open market. When the Oilers were sitting there in 2021 and they're looking at all these defensemen who are RFAs getting $9 million, and they're looking at Darnell Nurse, who just came off a career year and had been bridged twice, they have the threat of him going to market. You don't think there was a moment in that Oilers front office where they were sitting there going, oh shit, Toronto's got some money next summer. If we don't sign Darnell Nurse now and we get into next season and he's going to score north of 15 goals again and have another really strong season, what's that going to look like? Is he going to hit the market and command Drew Doughty money? Is he going to hit the market and command, I know the deal was signed, closer to Erik Karlsson? Like, there was a risk, as much as you can now sit back and look at hindsight and say, okay, the Canadian division year was the outlier and Darnell Nurse is never going to produce offense like that, and Nurse's game slipped for, call it a 14, 15-month stretch there. You can look back at hindsight and all that, but put yourself back in the moment of 2021 and that summer with Darnell Nurse. There was the threat that he leaves the next summer, and I think at that point, the Oilers, you don't have a trip to the Stanley Cup Finals. You don't have a trip to the Western Conference Finals yet at that point either. You had been bounced by Chicago and Winnipeg in back-to-back years. There was a much larger sense of fragility with this fan base and, in turn, this front office. At that point, would you have taken a risk that, okay, we think if Darnell has a bad year, he's a $7.5 million defenseman, and we can maybe get him cheaper if we wait until the summer. But what if he has another good year? And what if he signs in Toronto? And, oh, boy, he's really tight with some of our core players, specifically Connor McDavid, because at that point, remember, still the Kyle Dubas connection between Darnell Nurse and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, Edmonton had to make that decision, and it cost Edmonton a lot because they were buying UFA years. There was nobody in the Oilers front office is going, I will take Darnell Nurse over Cale Makar, Zach Werenski, and Miro Heiskanen. No, but the equation gets changed when it's UFA years. Totally changes things. So let's tie that back to Evan Bouchard, because I see, a really interesting comment here in the chat, and it just, Based Ivy, just bridge Bouchard for a 3-year cup contender window at $7 million and tell him he'll get his 11 when the cap goes up. Okay, here's my problem with that. You bridge Bouchard for 3 years, first off, have to get him to agree to it at $7 million, and for some players, they might be scared of arbitration. The highest producing defenseman in the Stanley Cup playoffs the last 2 seasons is far and away Evan Bouchard. The defenseman in the regular season who's produced the most, or he's top 5 or whatever you want to go numbers-wise with Evan Bouchard. You don't think he could go to arbitration and say, Cale Makar does this statistically and he gets 9? I want 8.5 in my ARB. I'm worth a hair less than Cale Makar. That is a very easy arbitration case for Evan Bouchard's camp to make. Arbitration might not be a bad thing for Evan Bouchard because the way those things work is they favor numbers. And Evan Bouchard's numbers are really, really damn good. And I'm sure the Oilers could sit there and pull up a highlight reel of this turnover and this turnover and this turnover. And at that point, I'd be sitting there going, if you're trying to just get him to a $7 million AAV and you need to burn the bridge with the player to get there, just pay him or trade him. And don't trade him because that'd be very, very stupid. So again, back to sort of the overarching thing here. This next 2-year window, as much as you want to sit here, Based Ivy, and say, let's bridge him for 3 years at $7 million. I would argue it's going to cost you more than that, but whatever. And tell him he'll get his 11 when the cap goes up. End of that 3-year window. Cale Makar signed for $15 million. Evan Bouchard keeps being the player that I think the organization believes he'll be, that I certainly believe he'll be. You don't think, if let's say the Oilers win a cup in the next 3 years, and Evan Bouchard continues to be one of the best playoff performers in the entire NHL. Forwards, defenseman, goalie, does not matter. Think about the Vancouver series. They do not beat the Vancouver Canucks if it is not for Evan Bouchard scoring a late game winner and an overtime winner. That series does not go the Oilers' way. One of the best proven playoff performers in the league right now is Evan Bouchard. If Cale Makar gets 15, which he absolutely will, we're not even debating that. Evan Bouchard in 3 seasons with maybe a nice ring on his finger, and who knows how many awards, who knows how many 80-point seasons he'll have? At least a couple. You don't think he's going to sit there and go, I'm worth 14 now? He absolutely will. So why, look at the Darnell Nurse lesson. Learn from your past mistakes. You bridged Darnell Nurse twice, and then you had to buy nothing but UFA years, and you lost the luxury that Colorado had with Makar and the luxury Dallas had with Miro Heiskanen and what Columbus had left of Zach Werenski. All of that out the window because you chose to bridge him twice. You could have gotten Darnell Nurse to a 7x6 a few years earlier. You chose not to because you didn't want to believe in the player. With Evan Bouchard, you have 2 options. You can say, we believe in the player. You can sign him to an 8-year deal. That's probably going to be closer to 10 than it is 9. And that's just a product of the Chychrun deal coming down today. If Chychrun's getting you 9, Evan Bouchard's getting closer to 10. So you can choose to pay that. You can grind him and risk this thing going very, very poorly for you in arbitration, which, by the way, if he gets rewarded an $8 million deal in arbitration, what are you locking in his next contract at? There's a percentage raise that has to be when you're an RFA for the qualifying offer or whatever. You're screwing yourself if you go to arbitration. You're screwing yourself if you trade Evan Bouchard, because the second you trade an Evan Bouchard, you spend the next decade looking for the next Evan Bouchard, and then when you get him, you go, damn, we should probably just pay the guy. You're cornering yourself into a lose-lose if you don't just extend him, because guess what? You want to give Evan Bouchard 3 years? He just has more negotiating power when the Oilers inevitably have more playoff success. And Evan Bouchard will sit there and go, oh, now you want to talk 8-year extension. Well, I'm going to have 31, and who knows, maybe it's 33 other teams by that point. I'm going to have 31 other teams who wouldn't mind having that same conversation with me in July, and he's going to make you pay out the nose because, again, you didn't believe in him in these early years. I don't know. And Amanda, I get it. I'm over this conversation already, and we have months of it to go. There are going to be a lot of people who hate the Evan Bouchard deal when it happens, and I understand that. But I am telling you, short-term pain, long-term gain. Evan Bouchard at $9.8 million for the next 8 seasons, I don't think you live to regret that contract with the way the cap is going. What you will live to regret is if Evan Bouchard gets walked to unrestricted free agency, you win a Stanley Cup, you go, damn it, we need to keep this guy because he's a part of our core, and all of a sudden he costs you $13 million. Is that a risk you want to take? Not at all. And again, to squeeze him over, $1.5 million on a bridge deal to potentially get him at $7 million because you won your arbitration case? Again, it's crazy.
For me, it's simply you bite the bullet right now, because we know down the road, you may not like it. I see in the chat right now, people are like, Bouchard's a $7-8 million defenseman. You might think that, but everybody else in the NHL is going to pay him considerably more than that, so that is not correct. Someone is going to, for me, it's 9.5. It's above Darnell Nurse. It's in that 9-10 range. If it's 10, sure, on day one of that deal, you might go, oh, I don't like that. When you look down the road, like you just mentioned, 8 years down the road, and you're paying him that with what the cap is going up, you thank your lucky stars that the boys ponied up at this time, not later down the road, because we don't know what's coming.
And here's the thing. You cannot be in both these camps, in my opinion. You cannot complain about the Darnell Nurse contract and then complain about paying Evan Bouchard at the same time. Because, again, if you are someone who was against the idea of going long-term with Nurse when he was 23, 24, 25, 26 years old, if you were sitting there pushing back on that idea, okay, then you have to pay guys eventually. That is how the league works. That's how it's structured. You don't get to sit there and be like, Darnell Nurse makes too much. He's a $6 million defenseman. Okay, well, a good organization would have projected when he was 24, 25, gone, okay, he's going to be a $6-7 million defenseman. We have negotiating power on him right now. Let's just extend him and lock him up. They did it with Clefbaum, and it ended up working out beautifully.
Beautiful example. Yes, beautiful. It's frustrating. Also, Dubnyk's here.
Well, there you go. I can finally stop talking about Evan Bouchard. Great first 20 minutes of the show, everybody. Let's get out to the Star Mechanical guest line. It's Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. You can find out more by visiting them online at starmechanical.ca. The melt and the thaw is on in Edmonton, and that can make your house do some pretty weird stuff, or your business. Star Mechanical's got you covered with residential, commercial, or 24/7 emergency service. 3 days without a game for the Edmonton Oilers, but last time they did play Devan Dubnyk, it was a hat trick for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. He picks up a hat trick on March 22nd, 2025. His first career hat trick came on October 15th, 2011. And who was in net for that game?
That was me.
It was you.
I think. Yeah. You paused for a second and I was like, I think it was me. Yeah, look at him. He still looks the same. He still looks the same.
Last night. My question for you is going to be, is this a picture of Nuge from that night or his hat trick 3 days ago? Tough to tell.
That's what I was going to say. Other than the dirty little stash he's got going, it's pretty much the exact same thing.
Yeah. What do you remember about a rookie Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and his first year in the league?
Oh, Nuge was awesome. It's crazy to think back that actually played with him. It just seems so long ago, and he's been there forever. But there was a lot of hype with
Okay, let's see if he can maybe just reset. Sorry, Devan, we lost your audio there, so we might ask you to just reset and rejoin the link. Yeah, pop out and come back in, and we'll get right back to Dubnyk here in a second. A little technical hiccup, as is known to happen, but Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, 12 points in his 9 points in his last 4 games. He's back with audio? Okay, we're back again with Dubes. All right, let's pick that up with just, again, the memories of a rookie Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Yeah, so I was saying a lot of hype with Taylor Hall and Everly coming in, and Nuge kind of came in, and he's a quiet kid. Just does everything the right way. He played. He wasn't this for being a first overall pick. He wasn't this like huge hype. But besides looking like he was 10 years old, he was still ton of maturity. Kind of had that old school, earn the respect, quiet demeanor about him. And, he's kind of just continued to do that throughout his career. He was great to have then, and to watch him now, he's kind of in the shadows, not the right term, but he's a huge part of the team where, it's always, for obvious reasons, it's McDavid and Draisaitl. But you don't win like they do without a guy like Nuge, who just quietly produces, quietly plays a two-way game. He's out there in every single situation you can ask him to be out there for. And, he's just such a big part of this team. And it's still, I was thinking this morning about that. Just blows me away that he's been playing there that long, longest tenured Oiler, and has been there for his whole career.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that just the fan base loves about him, and I obviously respect about him, is the commitment to the city, too. Like, over the weekend, the Oilers have 3 off days here. Sunday night, Monday night, Nuge was at 2 charity galas those 2 nights. And, again, he was talking at the one about how, like, Edmonton, he's almost been in Edmonton. He's been in Alberta now for half his life as well. So just that commitment to a city like Edmonton as well, I think that's something the fan base obviously loves about a guy who's willing to say, no, I want to be an Oiler for my whole career.
Yeah, it's a special thing, and it's been that way for him the whole time. There's never been any questions about what his want to stay there. No crazy trade talks, no free agency. It's been very obvious from the get-go that's where he wanted to be. And for him, even coming from Red Deer, still feels like he's playing at home, and that's a unique opportunity. I got that opportunity for a short period of time in Edmonton. It felt like I was playing at home, being from Calgary, with lots of relatives and stuff there. Not everybody gets to do that, and he's been able to do that and make it his home. And yeah, it has been half his life. I mean, that's crazy to think. But he came in there at 18 years old, and this is home for him, and certainly should be loved by all the fans. And it's nice to hear that he's doing what he's doing in the community, but certainly not a surprise.
Yeah, and then on the ice as well. Obviously, a hat trick last game. He has 3 3-point games in the Oilers' last 4 games. I think I said that correctly and made it make sense. But with McDavid and Draisaitl out of the lineup, there's sort of this opportunity now for some guys who, and maybe this doesn't quite apply to Nuge, maybe some other players, but guys who are usually in that 13 to 14 minute a night range, all of a sudden it's like, hey, you're playing 20 minutes tonight. You're playing 19 minutes tonight, and you're on the power play. And as much as you don't want to lose Leon and Connor for any stretch, at this point of the season, you're getting close to the playoffs. Am I wrong for thinking this could be like a little boost for some guys heading into the postseason? Like, oh shit, I'm gonna get to play some minutes here.
No, I don't think you're wrong at all. And for the team as well, because you certainly don't want anything to happen to those two ever. But never mind in playoffs. But at the same time, you can't have an injury derail the whole season. And I mean, Connor and Leon are so high above everybody else in the league when it comes to that, or on the team. And that's no offense to anybody. So it's hard to recover from losing these guys, but this is a time in the season where they're solidified in their playoff spot. They're trying to build their game going towards the playoffs, and this is going to get guys a chance to audition for roles if something were to happen down the road, or if they need guys to step up. Not only do they still want points now, they want to continue to build, but if God forbid something were to happen to these guys in the playoffs, you don't want to just write the season off. And I think that they have a good enough team where guys can step in and show now, hey, if something does happen down the road and in playoffs, I'm your power play guy. I'm your penalty kill guy. I can do this, and this is going to be a great chance for these guys to show that and really come together too. I mean, they start rattling off some wins with those two out. It's a pretty good come together moment for the boys as well.
Yeah, I do think it can be a little bit. That's a great way to put it, a come together moment. And I was talking to some people, like we have Louis DeBrusque on the show on Monday, and he even kind of said you could tell there was a little bit of a looseness in that locker room before the game against Seattle. A bunch of guys kind of like recognizing the opportunity and almost using it as a bit of a rallying point. AB, if you have the line combos, if you want to flash those up really quick, because another thing that it might be showing here is just how deep this Oilers forward group can be. Like, you look at the lineup that went out there against Seattle on Saturday night, and you have Trent Frederic, Evander Kane, Connor McDavid, and Leon Draisaitl that you have to work into this lineup. And all four of those guys have the potential to be like top six guys. So you start to look at this and you see kind of like how, okay, you subtract that fourth line, then you still have to take out one other guy, and all of a sudden Henrique's on your fourth line maybe. Like, the way the whole puzzle could come together, I don't think it's a stretch. As much as everyone loves the Colorado Avalanche right now and all the deadline moves that they made, and everyone loves the Dallas Stars loading up and getting Mikko Rantanen, I actually think there's a case that this Oilers team has the deepest forward group in the West.
Yeah, it's tough to argue, especially when you put it up there without Connor and Leon. I mean, there's guys that can move up and down and play a little bit of everything. You got lots of guys there that can play power play if they need to, kill penalties, and just play different roles. Some they can be checkers, but you got again another guy. You look at Nugent and Zach Hyman that just seem to get forgotten about. Just all they do is produce. But with Henrique and Skinner, he just obviously later in his career, but skill wise, a guy that can slide into a second power play unit, or first if guys are going down. So yeah, if you look at that and you take your two main guys out of the lineup, and that's still who you're putting on the ice, that's an extremely deep forward group.
Let's change the conversation to goaltending a little bit here. Stan Bowman, Oilers GM, on After Hours the other day was talking about how even though the numbers maybe aren't great, he still likes what he's getting from the Oilers goalies. And I get the frustration when people pull up a box score, and like the game against Winnipeg, he's got an .813 save percentage in that game. You go to the game against Seattle, he's got an .875. But still, when I look back at those games, like, I don't have a big problem with how Skinner is playing. I guess I first just want kind of your take, even though in his last 5 games, the numbers are, an .878 isn't pretty when you look at it on the stat sheet. I think he's been fine. What have you thought of Skinner over the last, let's call it, week?
Yeah, I agree. He's been fine. And for him, you have to block that stuff out. And that's the constant noise that we seem to talk about every week. But it's about building your game and being comfortable with your game, because these numbers in a short frame like that are one bounce here and there, or just one execution here and there. And I know we talked last week about him finding that, but when you find your game and you can see it, and the average fan can see it, the coaches, the team can see it, when he's himself and he's on top of his game, the numbers don't matter, as long as you're getting results and he's making the saves that he should and keeping you in the games and getting wins at the end of the day. I realize he's only 2-2, but if you can see that and the guys know they're getting that, they're going to play with confidence. They're not going to worry about whether, again, it's one bounce or one shot is the difference between an .870 and a .920 in a game if you're only getting 25 shots. So you can't look at a game to game as much. I mean, obviously, if it starts stretching out over a period of time, people look at it more, but at the end of the day, is he making the saves that he needs to when he needs to at the time of the game? Is he giving you a chance to win? And is he coming up with big saves once in a while to steal a game or at important times of the game. That's really what you have to look at, not just shots against and versus saves.
Was that something, like, did you always have the ability to, like, block out the number side of it when you were a goalie? Did you pay attention to that? Because, like, me personally, like, the game against Winnipeg, I think, is a great example of it. He gave up 3 goals. He got beat by, I think, Kyle Connor once. Then he made some great saves. He stopped Connor on a 2-on-1. And are you sitting there at the end of the night being like, how the hell did I only face 16 shots? I played well. I only made 13 saves.
Yeah, those are the toughest games too. And as far as numbers go, it's impossible to ignore them. I don't know. I think any goalie that tells you that they don't look ever at numbers is lying. They're there. It's a stat that is talked about, and your play is based off of it loosely, or as loosely as it wants to be, or as people want to base it off of that. So it's impossible to ignore, but you do have to look at the games, and that's why there's some really good advanced statistics and stuff that don't just look at shots. It's quality of scoring chances in front, how the play develops, all these things, the probability of that shot going in, and then come up with an expected goals against of, you guys are aware of all that stuff, but those are better things to look at than just shots faced versus goals gone in, because like you said, at Winnipeg, you get 16 shots and you give up 3, but you feel like you made 6 or 7, 10 bellers that, maybe 2 or 3 more than you would in a game that you get 35 shots. And so that's just how some games go. And it just becomes more important to block out the save percentage number that you're looking at, and just, how you feel. Skinner knows how he feels in the net. He knows if he's on or not. And that's the most important thing.
Quiz time for Devan Dubnyk. I always love doing this whenever we have former players on, because I have the answers. It makes me feel very, very smart.
I know. I'm trying to look at your face for the answers.
Most amount of saves you ever had to make in a game?
In the NHL?
In the NHL, yeah.
52.
Whoa, that's good. You actually did it twice as well. You did it once as an Oiler and once as a member of the Minnesota Wild. The Oilers game
Carolina Hurricanes. Oilers game was LA.
Against the Canes. You guys still lost in overtime, which is crazy. And then against the Oilers, you stopped 52 of 55 in a win back in 2010. It was on April 10th.
I remember that game very well. I truly think that game had a big influence on my one-way contract next year. It was the second last game of the season. And we were actually winning we ended up winning, but we were winning that game 3-0. And the shots were like 48-9 or something, and we were winning 3-0. And then they ended up tying it, and I was like, no, don't blow this one. And it was pretty exciting to get to win that one in a shootout. It was the second last game of the season. And then Jeff Delorier played the last game in Anaheim, and we lost like 8-1. And that's going directly into a contract here is not a bad way to finish off.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. I also looked up the fewest amount of saves you ever made in a fully completed
0?
game, and you had
a fully completed game.
It was 2018. You were on the Wild, and you made 10 saves in a game against the Minnesota Wild, and I think it went to overtime.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah, there was 10 of 14. Anyways, I'm just pulling up random facts at this point.
10 also. Okay, 4 goals on 14 shots. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah,
for a completed
but I was curious
too.
to see like your shortest workload, because I kind of wanted to ask, like, there are a few guys in the league. Mackenzie Blackwood's one of them, and granted, he played on the Sharks, so there's a lot more data for him, but his numbers on games where he faces north of 40 shots versus his numbers in games where he faces fewer than 25. It's crazy to see the difference, because he's so good when he faces 40 plus, and when he's 25 or less, there are a lot of examples where he gives up 4 or 5 goals. Is that like just a cliche thing? Is there something to like feeling some rubber and like feeling like you're in the game when you face 40 plus?
It's a little bit of both. I think that the game, a lot of times when there is 35, 40 shots, is the team can actually be defending really well to give up 35, 40 plus shots. Maybe puck possession isn't ideal, but they're probably defending well and forcing the other team to take shots, unscreened shots, no passes through the box, all these things. They're probably forcing them to put a lot of pucks on net that you can see that you feel comfortable with, and then you start getting in a groove, and then it's easier to make those big saves when they come. A lot of these games, where there's only 20 shots, and especially the way offense is created in the league now, those are extremely difficult games, because if I get 10 grade A's in a game and I have 20 shots, so half my shots are grade A's, and I get the exact same amount of grade A's, but I got 40 shots, I'm gonna feel better to make those saves. It's just you're seeing the puck more, you're feeling it more. But I think a lot of the time those higher volume games, that the team is defending well, and they're forcing the team to take shots that they don't necessarily want to take. Whereas you start getting in that lower when in I can't remember I think it was 2017. After the All-Star game in LA, I think I had like a 940 something save percentage through January. And but we were giving up 35 plus shots a night, and it was great. It was like 2 goals on 35 every night. And then all of a sudden Bruce didn't like that we were giving up so many shots. We started to change the way we played, trying to limit shots. So now we're forcing plays at the blue line, and then the puck gets chipped past, all of a sudden it's 2-on-1 pass across. So we're giving up less volume, the same or more scoring chances. All of a sudden the stats go down the drain. So it is something to look at. I think more shots don't necessarily mean that the team is defending poorly.
Yeah, and Skinner he's played 8 games since the beginning of March, or in the month of March, I should say, and he's only faced north of 30 shots once in all of them. So again, there was a point to me bringing up all of those stats that I was. I wanted to wrap up with one more. It's purely, I don't need maybe like a big story time, but Jacob Chychrun got a big extension today out in Washington, and I saw one of his teammates taped $100 bill to his back or something like that. What's the process like when a teammate gets paid? Is it like an unwritten rule that like tonight the Caps are going out for a sick dinner and it's like all on Chychrun? Is that a thing?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a thing, especially when it's a big ticket. Yeah, that's usually money on the board for sure, and usually a team meal of some sort. Obviously, if it's not a huge ticket, you don't necessarily have to take the entire team out for dinner, but definitely some good change on the board before the game.
Devan, appreciate your time as always, man. We'll chat again next week.
All right, thanks, guys.
There you go. Devan Dubnyk, former NHLer, former Oiler. Always good to get his take on Stuart Skinner. Really interesting, again, what he said, like the deeper analytics and what they can tell you. And I do know that some of them, again, aren't great for Stuart Skinner. Like I'm looking at goals saved above expected on moneypuck.com. And yeah, like he's still pretty low down on that board this season. It's not great. Like he's 67th in the NHL, although there's a whole bunch of guys in front of him who have like sub 10 games. So I'd have to filter out the data a little bit. But yeah, he's got a minus 2.3 goals saved above expected. That is not great. So anyways, there you go. Big shout out to our guy, Devan Dubnyk. Is our other guest already here? Are we just rolling from one to the other? All right. You've heard us plugging it a bunch of times. This Thursday, the boys from What Chaos are coming to town. Pete, DJ, and their producer, Sean. I'm so excited to have Sean on the show today. This is fantastic stuff. Sean, how's it going? Oh, look at all the Bills gear behind you. It's beautiful,
had to, just
Sean.
for you. Just for you.
I know.
How are we doing?
I was very tempted to steal some of that when I was in your neck of the woods a couple of weeks ago for Four Nations. But you're coming to Edmonton, your first time, right?
Yes, sir. First time Edmonton. First time west of Toronto. Grew up in Buffalo, so I have plenty of Canada experience, but haven't gone that far out west before, so I'm quite excited.
Yeah, I think you're going to love Edmonton. Like, again, I'm a born and raised Edmontonian, and I love Buffalo because I get very similar vibes in the two cities. You kind of have that, like, blue-collar atmosphere. And also, there's just something about going somewhere that people traditionally shit on and being like, oh, it's actually kind of a sweet place to go.
It makes the best sports fans, in my opinion. When you don't have a whole lot going on, the one thing that like you can really grasp onto as far as identity is concerned is your sports teams. Obviously, I have a bunch of Bills stuff here. We don't talk too much about the other sports team in Buffalo because they're pretty tragic right now. But I'm quite excited for Edmonton. DJ's told me quite a bit about his experience in Edmonton, so I'm excited to experience it for myself.
Yeah, well, I guess you do have DJ hyping it up, and he obviously came to town last spring during the playoffs. Is there anything you've been like sold on or told about that you're like most excited about?
I'm excited to experience Greta, honestly. I love a good arcade bar, and I like to say that I'm the best bubble hockey player this side of the U.S.-Canada border, so I'm ready to hand out beatings. Any and all comers, I'm ready. So I'm very excited for that. But no, I'm honestly, like I said, I'm excited to just experience what Oilers fans are like. Like you said, I think there's a lot of connections between Buffalo and Edmonton, with the exception of the fact that your hockey team's actually kind of good. But yeah, no, I'm excited to experience that that environment. We'll be in the building against Calgary, so obviously that's a pretty big one for y'all up there. So I'm excited to experience it.
Yeah, a little in-person BOA. That'll be sick.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, the guys were talking about this on the show the other day, what is the first ever informational flash Jeff Skinner jersey purchase event?
I don't know. We're still figuring out the details about what we're going to do, but we want to fill the building with Jeff Skinner jerseys. Obviously, me, again, in particular, I have a special connection to Jeff Skinner. Spent a good number of years with the Sabres, but yeah, especially with not looking like we're going to get to see either of the two big guns. So we got to take our wins where we can. And I think a Jeff Skinner game would make up for the fact that we probably won't get to see McDavid or Leon.
Yeah, that is really, really bad timing for all of this. The 97 and 29 are out of the lineup, but you get Ryan Nugent-Hopkins playing the best hockey of his life. So, you know, there is kind of that.
Yeah.
One of the other things I love that you guys do is the pro shop wars that Pete and DJ do. And I love talking to DJ about it because he's like, yeah, my closet is just full of all this stuff. I buy pro shop wars. What is your role in all that? Are you in the mix? Do you ever get FOMO being like, damn, I got to buy some of this cool shit too? Or are you like, thank God I'm not spending all this money?
Well, I'm definitely grateful that I'm not spending that much money. A lot of the times you'll notice that they'll pick up an item or two for me, but I definitely get a little bit of FOMO behind the camera looking at all of the cool stuff that they end up picking up, and honestly a lot of the cool stuff that they end up leaving behind, because we do have slightly different tastes. So I'll see some stuff that they pass on where I'm like, that's quite the item. And I heard that the pro shop up there just got an upgrade, so I'm excited to see that in person. I think DJ and Pete might go bankrupt in there.
Yeah, I mean, DJ, especially because of his role as a good oil man. I wanted to ask you one more travel, then we'll talk a little bit of hockey, because you guys, obviously, you've bounced around quite a bit over the last couple of years. You've seen a bunch of really cool stuff. Give me your list, like your top 3 cities to go to, and I'm curious if there's like a wild card in there, because I know you guys were just in Columbus, right, for Stadium Series?
Yeah. Honestly, Columbus might be number 1. Columbus is like such a fascinating place, and it's I think another one of those cities where you think, and there's probably not a whole lot to do there, but honestly, Blue Jackets fans are some of the best fans that we've interacted with since starting this show. So shout out Columbus, they're definitely up there. Cities that we've been to, just as far as like the arena experience, Detroit is amazing. That's probably the nicest arena that we've been to. So I've again kind of being along the Great Lakes, kind of has a similar vibe to Buffalo, so I definitely enjoyed that. Out of the other ones that we've been to, the Utah experience was pretty incredible. Like the fan base there, obviously quite new, but they have taken that experience and run with it. Salt Lake City is like a beautiful city, and again, the in-arena environment, especially considering that the arena is not built for hockey, you have a lot of pretty terrible sight lines, but it was still an awesome experience. So those 3 are probably up there, but this is going to be our first real trip to a Canadian city. We've taken, we were in Toronto for the All-Star game last year, and it's just a little bit of a different experience. It kind of gets lost in the shuffle, and the All-Star game is only so special at this point, to be honest. So I'm excited to experience that, but yeah, Columbus, Detroit, and Utah may not be obvious to like a general hockey fan, but they were pretty awesome.
You mentioned Buffalo Sabres fan. How's our boy Ryan McLeod doing, and are you willing to declare that trade a win?
Yeah, I was just joking about it beforehand. I think the Sabres won the trade. A 4-point night, I believe, for McLeod against the Winnipeg Jets in our last time out. And yeah, he's been awesome. Playing on the second power play, PK, putting up best season of his career, obviously. Like, it's been a good trade. Obviously, plenty of time in reality to figure out whether or not this was, or who actually won this trade. I'm not by any means counting Savoy out as being a very good NHL player, but as of right now, the Sabres, I would say, won the trade. Although it's kind of hard to say that because one of us are looking at playoff games and the other is looking at the lottery. So it is what it is. But in a vacuum, Ryan McLeod's been pretty awesome for the Buffalo Sabres.
How crazy of a summer do you think it's going to be for the Sabres this year? Like, do you think it's just, is Pagula so in love with Kevin Adams that it's like, run it back, we'll try again next year? Do you think they blow shit up?
I do not think by any means it's going to get blown up. I think I would expect, unfortunately, as far as I'm concerned, at least, for Kevin Adams to be back with the Sabres. And I don't see them doing anything too crazy. They have a few RFAs they need to figure out. I think there's a hope from Sabres fans that they'll end up making a big splash for some kind of top 6 forward. I would love to see another, like a natural right shot D-man, a stay-at-home D-man to pair with a younger D-man like Owen Power. But I don't expect anything crazy, especially considering like we've seen it with different player polls and everything. Like Terry Pegula does not have a great reputation. The city doesn't have a great reputation. I don't think the facilities are by any means like the best in the league. So they definitely, and then there's the whole palm trees and taxes thing that Kevin Adams talked about. Like, we're not going to be at the top of the list for a lot of big names. And I just, even if we were, I would be interested to see if Pegula is going to really be willing to dole out that kind of money, even with the cap going up. But you never know. I don't think anyone saw us signing Taylor Hall when we did, and obviously that didn't turn out the way anyone was hoping. But you really never know. But I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy. I think by and large you're going to see a pretty similar roster. I don't think it's possible that this roster performs as poorly as they did this year. So I think there's reason to believe that even if they do run the roster back, they could get a slightly better performance. But I don't think there's going to be any like massive changes to the Sabres. And based on everything that we've seen from the Sabres over the last 14 years, it's not going to end well, but hopefully it ends a little better than it did this year.
Our big boss, Jay Downton. First off, he's very excited to take you guys for a donair when you get to town. Are you aware of the plans to go for a donair?
I've heard the guys just told me about it. I'm not even all that sure what it is, but I'll try anything once, and I love to eat, so I'm excited.
I think you'll like it. I'm not the biggest donair guy, but people in Edmonton just go crazy for them. I mean, I've lived here my whole life. I've had like 2 in my whole life there.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want to get into it. But Jay sent me a trade proposal, and I'm hoping you can help me because I'm calling him insane, but maybe you see where he's coming from. He cooked up a mock trade between the Oilers and Sabres for this summer.
Okay.
Evan Bouchard and a first-round pick for Rasmus Dahlin. Can you tell him he's insane, or are you okay with that?
Absolute insanity. I know. I mean, I do love the Sabres. I do know that the Sabres love trading away their captains. We've traded away our last 2 at least at this point, but I don't think. I think Rasmus Dahlin. I don't think you get enough. Like, I don't think the first-round pick from the Edmonton Oilers is going to be valuable enough. And like the reasons you would trade Rasmus Dahlin, I think, would be because you think you need more like of a defensive prowess on the blue line, and I do not think Evan Bouchard necessarily provides that. If we're just looking for like a true power play quarterback, I think given the fact that he's been around, he's our captain, and he's slightly younger, like I'm sticking with Rasmus Dahlin there at all times. I don't think I do not think Evan Bouchard in Buffalo would be an experiment that ends well, especially if it involves trading away Rasmus Dahlin.
Yeah, I think it's a generally terrible idea as well for the Sabres. Not that I would be in favor of the Oilers doing that. But Sean, appreciate you popping on. You get to Edmonton tomorrow. When do you guys land?
Tomorrow night, I want to say 9:30 p.m. Edmonton time. So probably heading straight to bed after that one, but wake up ready to go on Thursday and really experience the Edmonton lifestyle.
And I think you guys are going to do what chaos from our studio here, right?
Yes, I believe so. So it would be noon Eastern. 10. You guys are Mountain, correct? You're 2 hours behind us. So 10 Edmonton time. We'll have a live episode of What Chaos.
All right, beautiful. Sean, thanks for popping on, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
There you go. We're gonna see Sean in person at Greta, presented by Fountain Tire. Pre-game show, meet and greet, post-game show, all that fun stuff. We're gonna get after it a little bit on Thursday. And you know my saying: if you're gonna be hungover, get hungover on company time. So why not throw a few back on Thursday night at Greta with us on the What Chaos crew?
Yeah, are we getting after it? Because I vote yes.
I have one speed.
Go.
Yeah, I go. All right, let's continue along. Sean was also brought to you by our friends at Douglas Mattress. You never know how much a quality mattress can change your life until you try it. I got a Douglas a couple years ago. I've never looked back. You can sleep as good as I do by visiting them at douglas.ca/OilersNation, or you can try Canada's best mattress in store today. Everyday. Their Manchester Square location in Edmonton is open. If you're not in Edmonton, not only do these mattresses start at a great value price of $599, but they offer free shipping across Canada through their convenient mattress in a box delivery, Douglas Mattress. Continuing along with the show, still not a Sherwood Ford Giant game day. That'll come tomorrow on the show, but wanted to do a little playoff picture update for our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant, Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. Yesterday out east, it was a big win for the Columbus Blue Jackets. I think everyone who doesn't have a horse in the race, i.e. you're not a Rangers, Islanders, or Canadiens fan, you're probably rooting for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and they kept their playoff hopes alive. They tie the game up in the third period. Kirill Marchenko, they get a shootout win over the New York Islanders, and now it's Columbus at 73, the Rangers at 74, the Islanders at 74, and the Habs, who have the fewest games played amongst all those teams, at 75. So Montreal still in the mix right now. Aaron, if I gave you a magical power to grant the final spot to someone, are you going one more Canadian team, or are you going CBJ, or are you going with the Islanders?
I'm going Ottawa stays in, Jackets over the Canadians. Come on. It's the all vibes team this year for the Blue Jackets.
The idea of there being playoff hockey at the Bell Center, though, kind of tempting.
I know, that's tough. I'm just not a Habs guy. I'm just never have been. I'm more of a go Brent Wallace. Go Brent Wallace.
Yeah, coming in hot. Shout out to our friends that coming in hot. Out west, obviously, both the Kings and Golden Knights are on 3-game winning streaks. Neither of them are cooling off. That's making the road to the Oilers getting home ice in round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs all that more difficult. They're tied with LA right now, but LA's got a game in hand. 5 back of Vegas when the Oilers play the Golden Knights next week. Still no word on if the Oilers are going to have either McDavid or Draisaitl, but Tomas Hertl, who's been Vegas' second best forward behind Jack Eichel this season, had 3 hat tricks in like a 7-game stretch or something not that long ago. He went into the boards real bad in their last game against Tampa. They announced he is out for the remainder of the week, and the earliest he could return is against Edmonton. But from what I'm hearing, I don't think Hertl's going to be in the lineup for that game against the Oilers. So if you're Edmonton, maybe you get one of McDavid or Draisaitl back. Vegas doesn't have Hertl. Maybe that evens things up a little bit. The playoff or the wild card race, it is still St. Louis in first by points. Calgary right behind them by points percentage at 558. Vancouver, who also got another last-minute win last night. They tied it up with, I think, 40 seconds to go. Connor Garland jammed home and a chance in the crease. So Vancouver, again, shootout win. They almost didn't get a single point. That would have been devastating for them, but they do get a victory. I kind of want to see Calgary get this spot. I think the Canucks are kind of lame, and the vibes there have been so bad. St. Louis, I don't want to see Holloway and Broberg in the playoffs. I would pick Calgary.
Dustin Wolf for Rookie of the Year is really picking up steam right now.
Yeah, it is. The odds on Bet365, and that's a nice little transition, Aaron, over to our friends at Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Regular season awards, Calder Trophy. It is back to a pick'em when it comes to Celebrini versus the field. Lane Hudson is in second at plus 100. If you were going to do that, just bet the field at minus 105, because then you get the Dustin Wolf coverage at 16-1. Who knows what he does in his final 10 games? My vote would still be for Macklin Celebrini. Also, we are on Leon Draisaitl Hart Trophy watch, plus 400.
Oh.
But he's not playing for 3 more games.
So you let it go up a little bit till he comes back.
I might get him at plus 600.
Dude. Dude.
Makes you think.
See, he was like minus 190 like a week or two
Oh,
ago.
yeah, he was minus 200 for a little bit.
And
because he misses 2 games.
It
Like,
slipped from our grasp.
He might miss 4 games and still score 10 more goals than anyone else in the NHL. Like, how is that guy not going to be your MVP? I think it's crazy. One big game tonight in the NHL, Caps Jets. That'll go a long way in determining this year's President's Trophy winner. Vegas also takes on Minnesota. Tonight, St. Louis takes on Montreal. So a handful of games that have implications for both seeding and for the final playoff spots in the East and West. All right, there you go. Did my Douglas. Did all that. I have a question. It's going to be my what's trending question, because I saw a debate about it online. Do you brush your teeth before or after you eat breakfast?
After I eat breakfast. Well, no shit. Now that you say that.
Like, is brushing your teeth a part of, like, your first 10 minutes of being awake?
Yeah, no. So it's I shower, do everything. Then I go change, whatnot, do my hair, brush my teeth, then probably eat. But depending on what I eat, I might do a second brush.
Oh, you might
Depends.
You might dip
Depends.
back.
I'm not crazy, but
My days are always like, especially on like Mondays and Thursdays when we do the rundown at like 7 a.m. I want to sleep as much as I can. So I am like a roll out of bed 6:58, hustle downstairs, get in my chair, do the DFO rundown, and then I like almost restart my morning at like 8:30. I'll like go up. Take two. Go upstairs, then I shower, have breakfast, all that. But I am always not always an after, but I always lean more after.
yeah, like that makes way more sense. There's just the fact of sometimes you wake up in the morning and I'm like, I got morning breath. So I want to get rid of that as quickly as possible.
I will say, and it's probably because I don't get my hangovers as bad as I will soon, brushing your teeth is a great hangover cure.
Dude, it's the absolute best.
You brush your teeth and shower, you're a new person.
You're once again, shower 100%, but you need to just like, hey, we've all sat down in the shower before, super hungover, and you just think about every decision you've made. Brush your teeth, you're back.
You're back.
Maybe even a nice ice-cold Coca-Cola. That's a good hangover.
The carbonation helps. Yeah. I stand by that as well. We're on the same page there. Dacky says, implying that we eat breakfast. That's a good point. I guess it does depend on that. Before or after your coffee, then I guess would be the question. Nathan, same with people who brush their teeth before bed and right when they wake up. You haven't eaten anything. Yeah, but you have the gross, like,
you got gross mouth.
Yeah, you have the gross sleep mouth.
Yeah, no.
That makes sense to me.
And like if you're sleeping in a bed with another person, I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
Yeah. All right. Doug Waite asked, Tyler, is it better for the Oilers to slip into to slip into a wild card place than be third place and play the Kings? No. In that world, your wild card one, you're playing Vegas. Like LA and Vegas, beat both of them. You're going to have to probably beat both of them to get to the Western Conference Finals. So why would you want to run the risk of, if you fall in the wild card two, as much as I think the Oilers could beat the Winnipeg Jets, I don't want Dallas or Colorado round two. No, you need to stay on the Pacific side of the bracket. You need to stay in one of these top three spots. Also, the only way the Oilers could fall into a wild card spot is if Calgary or Vancouver pass them, and that's crazy.
Let's not overthink playoff hunts here now at this point. You try and win as many games as you can win, and then let the cards fall where they may.
Again, Calgary is 10 points back of the Oilers. If they win their game in hand, it's 8. Vancouver is 9 points back, but the Oilers have a game in hand. That gap is basically impossible to close. Like, it's just not happening. So they're staying third at worst. We're hoping for second. If you can win head-to-head next week and maybe you get one other result that goes your way in the meantime, sure. But I really think the only way you're passing the Golden Knights at this point is if they go and lose 3 in a row after winning 3 in a row. If they can lose 3 in a row and you beat them head-to-head and you go 2-3 this week, then you can sit there and be like, all right, you're ahead of them, win out, you're good. But again, with the injuries, it's really, really tough to see that happening.
Just make that game competitive. Give me 97-29. Make it a race because we're going to have a hell of a time in Vegas. That's in less than a week, dude.
I know. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. All right. That is a wrap on today's edition of the show. A new episode of Oilers Nation Radio going to drop a little bit later on this afternoon. Is Liam back tomorrow or Thursday?
I believe Thursday.
Okay. So tomorrow
I think he flies back. We talk about this a lot.
Yeah, I don't know.
If he's here, he's here.
If he's here, he's here. You might get Liam, you might not. You will have me, though, tomorrow at noon Mountain Time for a Sherwood Ford Giant Game Day edition of the show. Thanks to everybody who tuned in. That is a wrap. We'll see you back tomorrow. Oil up.
99-cent super chat from Avi that just says
nothing.
Sunglasses.
Nothing. Bye, Avi.
We appreciate you. Bye.